Hello and welcome to Somerset. My name is Jenna, this is Cross and Combe, and this is Wells Cathedral. Nestled in the heart of the medieval city of Wells in Somerset, England, stands the magnificent Wells Cathedral. The first of England's cathedrals to be built completely in the Gothic style, the cathedral has been a beacon of prayer and worship for almost 850 years. I've come here today for the first time, and unlike my other videos, you won't catch me talking to the camera today. As soon as I entered the sanctuary of this beautiful church, there was a very peaceful, hushed atmosphere, and I didn't want to disturb it. Under the guidance of Bishop Reginald de Bohun, construction began on this current cathedral in 1176. However, the earliest record we have of a church on this site dates from 766 AD. Once inside the nave, my eyes couldn't help but be drawn towards the amazing and very unusual scissor arch. At first glance, it reminded me of something out of a science fiction or fantasy film, and considering my love of such genres, this is not a bad thing. Not long after the construction of the tower, the good people of Wells found themselves in a bit of a predicament. The tower of their beloved cathedral had started to show signs of collapse. After some trial and error, a superhero master mason by the name of William Joy came up with this rather tremendous design. His awesome ingenuity not only saved the tower, but gave this beautiful Gothic building a very unique feature. William, Joy by name and joy by nature. But perhaps the most iconic feature of Wells Cathedral is its west front, which is adorned with statues of saints, kings and angels, and tells stories of devotion and divine hierarchy. It still contains 300 of the original 400 exquisitely carved medieval statues and is by far the most photographed part of Wells Cathedral. Whilst this in itself is impressive, this is not how it originally appeared to onlookers. The cathedral they looked at would have been painted in bright colours, not only on the outside, but on the inside too. Upstairs in the cathedral, there is a library. One room is full of books from 1800 and later, and you are welcome to explore this room and read these books at your own leisure. The other room is a chained library and contains numerous books from just before 1800 and going back hundreds of years. Access to this section is only given whilst as part of a tour, which costs extra. A chained library is pretty much what it sounds like. A library full of books that are chained to the bookcases so that the book can be read but not taken from the library. This practice was common in the Middle Ages, up until about the 18th century. Curses were even known to be invoked by librarians on anyone who would dare steal a book. And warnings were sometimes written into the books themselves. One such warning reads, "Steal not this book, my honest friend, for fear the gallows should be your end. And when you die, the Lord will say, 'And where's the book you stole away?'" Thankfully, there was zero risk of me stealing any of the books. I couldn't even get to them, let alone read them. So I had a look at some of the books I did have access to that I was interested in. And one book in particular got me really excited. A chance to look at really cool pictures of medieval beasts. Don't mind if I do. Suddenly I'm taken back to primary school where pictures were way more interesting than words. Back downstairs, I continued to explore the cathedral with its stained glass windows, tombs, its wooden doors, memorial plaques, and the chapels once erected to pray for the dead. And my feet eventually took me to a part of the building that I had wanted to see for years. One thing that always stops me in my tracks and causes me to ponder those who have gone before me are worn-away stone steps in churches. These can often be seen as you enter a church, dipped and polished through hundreds of years of continuous footfall, and this glorious stone staircase here in Wells Cathedral is no exception. A sign at the bottom warns of uneven surface, and I will admit it was quite disorientating walking up them, my feet not feeling stable at all. Of course, I could have walked to the side of the worn part, but where would the fun be in that? Near the top of the steps is the chapter house. This is where historically the governing body of the cathedral would come together for meetings. And I was very surprised to find I had it all to myself. At least for a short period, anyway. Around the room there are 51 niches, each symbolising a seat for a specific member of the chapter. This one, where you can still see remnants of a dark coloured paint on, would have been where the Bishop of Wells sat. I've no idea if this room is still used for chapter meetings, but I do have it on good authority that some chapter meetings in another diocese, on occasion, meet in a pub. And who would blame them? Especially in the winter. Nice pint, roaring fire. Yes, please. If you continue to the top of the steps on the staircase, it leads you to a door which, when opened, leads onto an enclosed bridge that crosses the road outside. Sadly, this door is now locked. However, you can cross the road to see where it leads. This is the rather charming Vicar's Close, and it is, according to the Wells Cathedral website, the oldest continuously occupied medieval street in Europe. These houses were first built over 650 years ago to accommodate the Vicar's Choral, who are all members of the cathedral choir. Vicar's Close still houses their successors today, and apparently the odd cat. Back in the cathedral, and there's still so much to see, like the undercroft that sits underneath the chapter house, where I found this 13th century stone coffin once belonging to an important priest. They know this due to the presence of a niche, especially to hold the chalice and silver plate used for mass. Then there's this stone sink which would have been used for the washing of hands or possibly to wash communion vessels like those I just described. Curiously, it contains a sleeping dog. I wonder what the story is behind that. The cathedral also has a small area where you can still see the original medieval floor tiles. And this oak cope chest dating from about 1120, which would have originally sat in the old Saxon cathedral prior to this one being built. It was constructed to hold the garments worn by the cathedral clergy, and it's still in use today. There's numerous stone sculptures and tombs, and if you're a historical graffiti enthusiast like myself, you certainly will not be disappointed. With all this decoration, archaeology and heritage, it can be easy to forget that this is a place of worship. It is thought that a minster or church was founded in Wales by King Einar of Wessex, when Christianity was still reasonably young in these lands. The place of worship that he founded may have indeed been on this site or nearby. Today, the cathedral holds regular services, and like many cathedrals, it still follows the daily office of morning and evening prayer. This is also known as the Divine Office, or Liturgy of the Hours, and was originally called Opus Dei, which means work of God. These times of prayer have their root in the ancient monastic tradition and were formally established in Britain with the spread of monasteries following the rule of Saint Benedict. I visited Wells Cathedral during Lent, which is a 40-day season of reflection, repentance and preparation for Easter. To reflect this, hanging on the walls in the north and south aisles of the nave are a special series of pictures. The Stations of the Cross is a devotional practice found in many Christian churches, especially during Lent and Holy Week. It invites believers to spiritually walk with Jesus through his passion, the final hours of his life, from his condemnation to his burial. Traditionally consisting of 14 stations, each one marks a specific moment of Christ's suffering and sacrifice. These stations closely trace the heart of the gospel message, that Jesus willingly suffered and died out of love for humanity to bring about our redemption. As believers reflect on each step of Christ's journey, they're drawn into the depth of God's love and mercy and reminded of the hope and new life offered through the resurrection. It's a way of entering into the gospel account, not just as something to be believed, but something to be felt, lived, and responded to. My day at Wells Cathedral had come to an end. Having stood for many hundreds of years, I can't help but wonder how many more hundreds this beautiful building has left to stand. Right, that is it from me and from Wells Cathedral. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please like and subscribe, say hi in the comments, and I will catch you later. Bye!